All right, so today I want to talk about the whole Omar Khadr thing where he recently spoke. I guess it was February 10th, so not that recently, but recently. He recently spoke at Dalhousie University. He got a standing ovation, and like a lot of my videos, like I say, this is just a sad state of affairs in Canada now. I don't always mean to be such a Debbie Downer, but if we don't acknowledge the state of where we're at and we just put our heads in the sand and go la la la, like a lot of people who always makes, oh, just stop being such a Debbie Downer, those kind of people, we're really going to be in for some really, really tough times because, like I say, sticking your head in the sand and pretending problems don't exist is it doesn't work in. I mean, it works in the short term, but it doesn't work in the long term. Now, the point I wanted to get in this video is the fact that someone like this, who's a terrorist, we know is a terrorist, um, can speak at a public university and receive little to no pushback, but yet you have moderate, some not quite as moderate speakers who are on the right who can't speak at a university without, I mean, a lot of them just flat out can't. Like, I mean, Andy No, who wanted to have an event on the rising threat of left wing violence, couldn't speak at UBC because of left wing violence, or at the very least, threats of violence. And that's where we're at. That a gay Asian journalist who is moderate, he is by no means far right. So anyone who's trying to make that argument, even if he is far right, he should be able to speak. I don't care if you're actually a full-on Nazi, full-on communist. You should be able to speak. Everyone should get free speech. But anyway, he was not able to speak. It was completely shut down. Like I say, someone who's very moderate. I mean, he does lean to the right, but he's pretty moderate. And yet he shut down. Stefan Molyneux shut down. Lauren Southern shut down. Ben Shapiro. I mean, I don't really agree with him on a whole lot of things, but he has to. You have to have massive security fees for these guys to speak. We're talking about extra tens of thousands of dollars more than the average person would need. And yet, I mean, this is just scratching the surface too. There's tons. There's tons of people, and yet you have Omar Khadr, who's a terrorist, gets no pushback whatsoever. There might have been slight protests. I didn't hear of anything, but that, like I say, that's just where we're at in Canada. That someone who disagrees with you politically deserves to be violently shut down and literally have violence committed against them. Like Andy No was beaten half to death, literally. That's not a hyperbole, because of him not being on the left. And Omar Khadr, again, convicted terrorist. I don't think anyone's denying he's a terrorist. He doesn't get any pushback, and that's just it makes me sick to my stomach that that's where we're at in Canada. That's where we're at, and I don't know why it's gotten to this point. My guess is that, I mean, at least my assumption is that the people in the middle refuse to take a stance. That whenever I talk to people who are more apolitical, more moderates, that they don't have strong political views, they always tend to side with the side that's more violent, and that side's the left. Which is why a lot of moderates, they always get mad, and that they whenever you group them in with someone, they're like, oh no, I'm a moderate, don't group me in with them, I don't like taking sides. But yet when you refuse to take a side on an issue, you're by default just siding with the side that is willing to use more violence. Now, if you can actually rationally think things through and make a good point and speak out against both sides, then yeah. But if you're the keep your mouth shut kind of person, then you're just siding but with the more violent side by default. And that's where a lot of people are at in Canada, that they disagree with this kind of stuff, but they don't want to risk the pushback that could come with speaking out against this kind of stuff, because the small percentage of people who are on the left that are more radical, they're the kind of people that really, really make their voices heard. They're the ones at the protests, they're the ones all over social media. And even though they're a small percentage of the population, they appear as a large percent of the or a larger percent that they actually are. And that's where the fly or the the fluffy area um, is coming from, and that's kind of what we have to deal with. And basically, the whole point I want to get at is that most of the people watching this probably agree, probably have their heads on straight, probably are pretty awake to what's actually going on. But I imagine people who are open to having their mind changed that you could talk with. And I mean, this kind of stuff comes up all the time. And personally, in my experiences, this may not be true for everyone else, but when it comes to talking about politics with friends and family, it's always the ones who usually they have relatively strong political views, but they refuse to have a open and honest conversation on their political views because in the back of their head they know that they're pretty much based in just sheer emotion and sheer it's what's best for me even though it's completely immoral, and they always want to shut down the conversation. And that's the left refuses to have conversations. I mean, you had like it was a classic example too when Steven Crowder was having a male privilege is a myth, change my mind, thing, and there was these bunch of feminists that say, oh, debate is a trap. And that, like I say, if your beliefs are based in fact, you should embrace debate. Like I love debating with people, even if they're absolutely insane, and that's why I think I think I can be so educated and um, have such strong and views that are held in such ground because I embrace debate, and I'm always trying to go against the grain, and I'm always thinking that, hey, is this really the right thing, and always being self doubting of your current views and and whatnot. But anyway, like I said, this is where we're at in Canada. That convicted terrorists, they don't receive any pushback when they want to speak at universities, but moderate center right people, that don't even have that. I mean, some of them, at least compared to the average person, their views are maybe a little more out there, but most of them aren't. Most of them are not, and that's where we're at. And that just shows the sad state of the left too. That they're the ones that are the violent ones, and trying to say that, oh, well, both sides are equally as responsible. I always rag on that. That's just a complete cop out and just projecting too. It's just the left projecting and justifying that their use of violence, their use of force. That, hey, oh, the other side does it too. No, they don't. No, they don't. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I think I got the point across pretty good. As always, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Check out my PayPal linked in the description. I'd appreciate if you donate, and stay tuned for more videos. And please share too. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there.